Hey you, this is CovertGoBlue, and they have released some of the cards from Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth, and we're going to cover them right here. But before we dive all the way in, I'm going to give some of you a chance to just leave the channel right now, because I didn't know this was a thing. I don't go on Reddit. I don't pay close attention to outrage type stuff, and it definitely wasn't the point I was trying to make with my video yesterday. So let me just get it out of the way. I don't care if Aragorn is black. There, I said it. It's not going to affect my hype for the set in any way. And to those of you with that complaint, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that your complaint is all valid and stuff, because I don't think, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Absolutely not. Doesn't mess with me at all. And I really hope, I can't tell any of you what to do. I make it a point not to tell you guys what to do. I tell you about what I think. I don't tell you what to do. I hope you will learn to just shut up, because there is no way that I can think of that you can phrase this or do this argument without sounding like a spoiled asshole. None. That's my take right there. You're a spoiled asshole. And it's okay. Most of us who are nerds at some point in our lives and in our behavior are spoiled assholes. Not the end of the world, but you can learn to shut up. You can learn to shut up on some things. You really can. All right. On that note, don't plan to address that too often. I try to stay out of that kind of talk. I try to make this a place where everybody can come and enjoy Magic, but you guys wanted to make that a thing in the comments. People will always probably try to make that thing in the comments. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm still hyped for the set. I'm going to enjoy it. Are you really going to let that? Are you really going to let that be the thing that makes you a frickin' sourpuss going on the internet, shitting all over everybody else's good time? Are you really going to let that ruin your enjoyment of a Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering set? The card game at some level, deep in your soul, you love. And this awesome piece of literature that deep in your soul you love, that is now a part of culture at large. And that's why, quite honestly, it has to adjust to culture at large. You're going to let the color of a main character in that literally a sea of white people, white hobbits, white dwarves, white elves, you're going to let the color shifting of one character ruin your love of this set? There's nothing you can tell me that doesn't make you a spoiled asshole. I'm moving on. Anyway, they spoiled some cards. Are you still with me? Because if you didn't turn off or go down to the comments to rage right now, we're going to look at some Lord of the Rings cards. Let's go. First of all, the One Ring. The One Ring for the one in Best of One. This is a 4-mana legendary artifact with indestructible. It better be mythic. I'm surprised they didn't introduce a new level of mythic-y mythic for this one. Indestructible. When the One Ring enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you gain protection from everything until your next turn. Gain protection from everything. Can I get protection from the internet trolls? At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burden counter on the One Ring. You tap it, you put a burden counter on the One Ring, then you draw a card for each burden counter on the One Ring. What have we got here? So, on its own, you play it, and you're kind of Teferi's protected. There aren't many things that can mess with you. Does a Soul Shatter make you sacrifice something? I think so. Like an edict type effect might make you sacrifice something. I don't think that there's much else that touches you. All damage dealt to you from any kind of source is reduced to 0. Anything that can target a player, creature, whatever. It's you. Wait, it's you gain. Okay, it's not your permanence. So anything that would target you just doesn't work, and any damage that would be dealt to you just doesn't work. It's kind of like Teferi's protection, but your permanents don't phase. When you tap it, you get a burden counter and you draw a card. So the turn you play this, you can tap it and you can draw a card. That's sweet. The next upkeep, you lose a life for each burden counter. I assume that's a trigger. So you can lose the 1 life, and then you tap it and you put another burden counter on the One Ring and you draw a card, and it has 2 counters now, so you draw another card. So right there, 4 mana, you've drawn 3 cards, you've fogged for a turn, and you've lost 1 life so far. At the beginning of the next upkeep, you'll lose 2. That seems like an engine piece for a number of interesting decks, and it's card advantage for any color. Let me say that again. It's card advantage for any color. It's a colorless artifact. And if it continues from there, you just draw more and more cards. I assume by the time you're tapping this to draw 3, you must be very far ahead. You're losing a bit of life. I think that's totally fine. You'll find ways to make it back if you're building your deck around this card. This is pretty sweet. There's no question this is pretty sweet, and you can find it with any kind of legendary type or historic tutors or artifact tutors, which there are so many in Historic Brawl and Commander. Just a reminder, this will not be standard legal. This will be historic legal and Historic Brawl legal on Arena and Commander legal, and those are the formats I'm going to think primarily about when looking at these cards. I plan to put this in a ton of decks. There's just so many artifact decks that you just already want to slot it into, and you can think like Myria and Emery, Paradox Engine decks. This with Paradox Engine, absolutely wild as you keep untapping it, tapping it, adding burden counters, but you don't lose the life until the beginning of your upkeep, and they're not getting another turn. So this card to me seems 100% absolutely sweet. Next card, Gandalf the Grey, 3 and a blue and a red for a rare 3/4 Avatar Wizard legendary creature. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, choose one that hasn't been chosen. You may tap or untap target permanent. Gandalf the Grey deals 3 damage to each opponent. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy and put Gandalf on top of its owner's library. Okay. I did not see Gandalf as Izzet. I suppose someone has to be. I thought it would be more of like Saruman's bag. I don't know. I am pretty surprised by the colors on the card. The abilities all are fine. The 3 damage, I guess I just didn't expect it. So what I'm guessing we're going to see is a Gandalf the White, and that Gandalf the White will be our blue-white Gandalf, and I hope so, because basically ever since blue-white control mages got called Gandalfs by Croakies, that's what everybody thinks of now. So I hope we have a blue-white Gandalf the White coming, because this one isn't very exciting to me. It does a cool amount of things, and in Historic Brawl you can play this as a commander, but it seems too expensive, honestly, overall, to be that exciting. I will definitely, you run it with the cheap instants like Consider, and you run it with Opt, and then you use it to put it on top of the library when the opponent tries to kill it. So you can play a control shell for it, but blue and red doesn't play that well of control. It's okay, but like, are you going to run this over a Niv Mizzet Perun? Is your deck that different from Niv Mizzet Perun? So this card really didn't hit the mark for me. I'm gonna give it kind of a C. I think it's still fine, and it'll see play in Commander, and I'll probably try to build a deck around it, but I'm really hoping that Gandalf the White is more of what I expected from the card from the Gandalf in general. As for art review so far, looking at the One Ring, it doesn't have the little letters yet, but hopefully it's just not warm enough. I don't know, but it's cool. It's fine. I was hoping to see glowy letters. And for Gandalf, I'm lukewarm. This art doesn't absolutely blow my mind. It's definitely like medium for me. I'm like, oh, okay. But if you want to have really hot art, these are very cool to me. So the lands from this set, the map. It's the map. Look at the map. Guys, look at the map. One of my favorite things. If you want to talk about something that is iconic, that just kind of transcends everything about Lord of the Rings, that you could just show me like an image of like in a Rorschach or something, and I would be like, that's the map from Lord of the Rings. That's Middle Earth. Like I've got a poster of the map on my wall in my living room upstairs, a gift from my sister that I really, really love. And yeah, the map. The map lands are so freaking cool. So I gotta say it, go maps. Props to the map lands. That's the kind of inspired work on the art that I hope to continue to see. Just a reminder, if you're watching this right the moment I post it, that at 1 o'clock, where they're going to be doing the stream where they show off more of Tales of Middle Earth, and I'll be doing a watch party on Twitch, so check out my Twitch channel. Link in the description. Thank you for watching this, and as always, you are cool.